along this morning to Innovative Content Management's webinar, where we'll be posing the question, what would your staff do with 5 spare hours per week? What we're going to do is highlight how traditional approaches to information management can hold back our team's productivity. And we're going to introduce you to a cutting-edge information platform that's capable of delivering substantial productivity benefits. So my name's Matthew Lamont. I'm the Managing Director of Technical Services here at Innovative Content Management, and I'm pleased to be co-presenting this webinar alongside Kevin Leong from M-Files, who is a very experienced consultant within the information management space. We'll be presenting for around 20 minutes, and then there'll be around 10 minutes set aside for questions and answers. This webinar is being recorded, and we'll be pleased to provide a link to anyone to the recording once we're finished up today. So before we start, what I'd like you to do is just take a few seconds to reflect on your morning so far. I'd like you to think about how many documents you have had to look for so far this morning. So this could be anything from emails to reports, to documents that you've been working on recently. Just have a think over the last couple of hours. How many documents have you had to search for this morning? I'll just give you a couple of seconds to reflect on that, and then we'll keep going. Okay, just while you're still reflecting there, I'll just give you a brief rundown on my results from this morning. So far today, I started work at about 8:30. I've had to look for 4 emails. I've had to search for 6 documents, and I've had to look up information about 6 different projects that we're currently working on internally at the moment. So my total today so far is 16 documents and other pieces of information. So there is a good chance that you've actually spent more time this morning searching for information than you realise. And there's also a good chance that you've never really reflected on this or questioned it, and neither has your team. So the purpose of our presentation here today is to encourage us all to question that status quo in our working lives, and we'll introduce you to technologies that can help make a very significant difference. So let's have a look at how we manage information in our workplaces. From our experience as an information management consultancy firm, we found that when people come to us for help to find information better in their organisations, they tend to be using a paradigm of information management that dates back to the 1970s. So what does that paradigm look like? Back in the 70s, you might have a file that you've been working on, and once you're finished with it, you might put it into a manila folder that you might hand off to a document controller. And that document controller then puts it into a filing cabinet at a particular site. And that's if your organisation is big enough to even have a document controller to begin with. So what has happened over time is these physical concepts from the 1970s, they have been emulated into the digital files and the digital folders today that we're all used to working with, except in a lot of cases we don't have the document controller to help us. Does that sound familiar to you? What I'd like to do now is work through a scenario with you to show you why this is problematic in perpetuating this approach to information management. We're going to pretend that we're a consulting company and a client has got in touch with us rather, and they're looking for a document that we issued them back in 2023. Okay, the client that we're looking for their information for is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So they're looking for their document. Now the search begins on our end to find where that document is. Is it on my computer? Is it on a shared drive? Is it maybe sitting in someone's email inbox? We're not sure at this stage. This kind of scenario plays out in organisations of all shapes and sizes that we speak to on a daily basis, and we find that it wastes their time and causes unnecessary frustration. So let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. So now we're looking for Mr. and Mrs. Smith's document. The first thing that we might do is go into our network drive. So here we are on the home screen of our network drive. We find the client information folder, but now we've got the dilemma of finding out which subfolder that document is actually living in. So we go into this search here and we find a whole range of subfolders. We might not be sure where to start. So we might be tempted at this stage to do a search in our Explorer window. So we type up the top there, proposal, John Smith. And as you can see, no search results have actually come back. So now we're back to looking through those folders again. We go back to our list of subfolders and we take a guess. Maybe it's in the Reading UK folder, and we go in there and have a look. Even more subfolders to go through. This isn't really helping, but we do find that there is an S folder. Maybe that document's sitting in there, S for Smith. Let's have a look. So we're working away. Here's some more subfolders, and we've got Smith family, and we've got the Smiths. So we've got a couple of options to pick from here. So what we do is we look in the Smiths folder, and bingo, we've probably found the document we're looking for. But the problem we now have is that we have about half a dozen different documents that are labelled final. So we're not quite sure which of those documents the Smiths actually signed off on that we need to now provide to them. So this is all problematic. I've just spent around 45 seconds looking for that document and haven't really got too far. So it's quite time consuming. Now, we often hear what happens if we migrate all of our content into a cloud location, such as Microsoft Teams or SharePoint. Is that going to make things any easier? Well, it may or it may not. Here we are in the Teams channel for our organization, and we've got the problem. Does this file actually live within the messages section of Teams, or does it live within the files section of Teams? You can see the problem's even gotten worse here. This is even more of a mess than what we were looking through in the folder directory that I showed you just before. So this happens all the time. So many of us would be familiar with a traditional folder structure like this one here on this slide in our workplaces. And many of us have grown up with electronic folders, that they are the status quo. But from our experience, they do cause a lot of problems. If we look at this folder structure here, on the right-hand side, you can see there that we've got folders for our sales representatives, Jim and Andy. So Andy might prefer to save his sales proposals in his own folder. But the problem arises when Jim needs to find those files later on. So Jim isn't aware that that document is sitting in Andy's folder. He goes off and looks in the customer folder. Still can't find the document. Eventually, he'll stumble across that document within Andy's folder, and because he's frustrated now, he's tempted to create a copy of that document and put it in the customer folder. So by doing that, now we've got two copies of that document in our system, and that gives rise to version control issues. People can get confused about which version is the correct one and the latest one to be working on. We also find a lot in our experience that organizations have multiple document repositories, and again, that causes problems. In my previous career, I used to be a university lecturer, and I remember very well teaching in universities the troubles that we had with storing and retrieving teaching materials. A lot of the time, the teaching materials were actually stored on our personal laptops because there was no centralized repository where all the teaching materials were actually stored. When it came time for me to take leave and I had to share those documents with casual teaching staff who were going to teach my subjects for me, that caused all sorts of problems because they didn't have direct access to my personal laptop to retrieve those folders. So we would have to use workarounds like Dropbox or OneDrive folders to try and distribute those materials. And again, that causes version control issues. So you can see from these examples that I've been going through why the traditional folder approach causes information chaos in our workplaces. We want it to be easy to find our business information, just like it's easy to find our favorite songs when we use a streaming service like Spotify or YouTube Music. we don't tend to have problems with finding the content we want using these streaming services. So why is that? The answer is because that these streaming services manage information within those platforms based on what the content is. In other words, it's managed by metadata, information like the artist name or the music genre. Managing music using metadata allows us to quickly find the music that we want to listen to on those streaming platforms. Now imagine if we could apply the same level of organization you get from your streaming services, but with your organization's content. There lies the power of metadata. Managing information based on what the content is solves a number of fundamental challenges that we have. And it's also one of the most impactful ways to boost productivity within our organizations. And that's exactly what we do for our customers on a daily basis here at Innovative Content Management. M-Files is a global leader in information management. And here at Innovative Content Management, we're really proud to be an authorized M-Files partner in Australia. And to explain what M-Files does, it manages information in our workplaces based on what the content is, not where the file is stored, like we're all used to. So not only does this approach make it easier to find information later when we need to retrieve it, just like we would on our streaming services, we can also automate other aspects of managing our information. And there's a wide range of options here that we can work from. I'll give you a couple of examples. First of all, creating the file name. This is something that a lot of organizations that we work with struggle with a lot. Inconsistent file naming causes untold headaches. It can make it hard to find information. But the good news is that M-Files can automate our file naming using your organization's preferred conventions. Being able to find information in context is another real strength of M-Files. What we are able to do is find documents within the context of things like our customers, or a project, or our employees. Again, it's another convenience factor and it saves us time. We can automate the maintaining of the security of our information as well. So who should have access to a particular document? Think about a board meeting paper. That's a sensitive piece of information and it needs suitable access permissions. With M-Files, we can automatically apply access permissions to those kinds of documents based on what they are, with no manual intervention needed at all. Then we've got ensuring compliance with internal policies and external regulations. So as an example, if an internal policy stipulated that a document should be destroyed or archived after a certain time frame, M-Files can manage that automatically in the background for us and remove the document from our repository when its retention period has expired. Then we've got review and approvals of documents. So does a document need to be reviewed and approved, such as a scope of works for a project client? M-Files can automate the review and approval process of those documents with its powerful workflow engine. And what this does is ensure the correct person receives the document and eliminates email from that process altogether. We can also automate things like if a document contains personally identifying information and needs to be treated in a sensitive manner. M-Files can identify that automatically for us and apply permissions protocols to protect that information from unauthorized access. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds really good, but isn't it tedious and time-consuming to add metadata to a document every time we save one into our system? Well, the answer is it doesn't need to be. And this is where the power of AI really comes into the picture. And there's been some really exciting developments recently in M-Files. And what I'm going to do now is hand over to Kevin from M-Files to take us through what some of those developments look like. So Kevin, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. All right, so we'll jump through to the next slide, Matt. So with M-Files, you can say goodbye to manual data entry and tedious tasks. Our AI-powered metadata automation handles everything from metadata extraction to workflow initiation, freeing up your employees to focus on more strategic work. This means increased productivity, improved accuracy, and reduced costs. For example, in the financial services industry, time is of the essence. Imagine being able to automatically extract key information from an ETF fact sheet like the one shown here and use the data in that document to populate your systems, generate reports, and even initiate compliance workflows. So you bring that up, Matt, the next screenshot there. What you're seeing on that screenshot is when we brought that document in, all of that information on that fact sheet has been extracted automatically. And so that's what we're talking about when we talk about automation. If we're able to extract all that meaningful information out of the document, we can save your team, even yourself, hours of manual work each week, allowing you to focus on providing better service to your clients. Jump to the next slide. So we've talked about the power of AI and how does it actually work in practice with other types of documents. So let's take this example, processing invoices. So we bring the invoice into M-Files and the AI in M-Files can automatically extract key information from those invoices. We can match the customer that's on the invoice to your customer records, even calculate the total amount due. This saves you time, reduces errors, and makes invoice processing a breeze. So think about how much time you spend, or your team spends, processing invoices each month. If you want to, please feel free to share that in the chat. And I'll show you another example here, which is contracts, which are the backbone of any business, and managing them can be tricky. Things like missed deadlines, overlooked clauses, these can lead to costly mistakes. M-Files helps mitigate these risks by automatically extracting key dates, identifying parties involved, and even calculating the validity period of your contracts. This ensures you are always on top of your agreements and can avoid potential legal issues. And there's another example on the screen there. So think about the last time you had to renew a contract. Did you remember the deadline? Did you have to dig through files to find relevant information? M-Files eliminates these headaches by automatically notifying contract owners about upcoming renewals and providing easy access to all the contract details. I think this is really important, especially when there's contractual obligations in those contracts. You want to make sure that you are able to meet those contractual obligations to avoid further risk in the future. And I see we've got many attendees here from the services sector and some also in the engineering sector. That's great because AI automation can be applied to specific applications tailored to your specific needs. So these examples here, they're just kind of general examples, but these are the things that we can actually start to automate now with the AI that's available in M-Files. And by being able to do all these kinds of things, we're then able to automate things like validating documents. Is this safety certificate valid? Is this lease agreement valid? Those types of things, managing contracts. And then we can also automate all of those processes that come after that. So, does it need to be reviewed? Do we need a reminder when it's due? Those types of things. And this could potentially save hours per week. So now here's the interesting part. A Forrester study found that organizations using M-Files were able to file documents 65% faster. That's a huge time saver. But here's the kicker. That study was conducted before we released our AI-powered metadata automation. With INO, the M-Files AI assistant, metadata is automatically added to your documents as you save them. This means even less manual work and even faster filing times. Imagine the possibilities. In the next slide, we will demonstrate the power of searching for information. And we're not just talking about simple text searching either. So what we're going to show you next is how we're going to supercharge your search experience. So imagine this. You're working on a client proposal and you need to quickly find a specific clause in a contract. So sifting through the pages of legal jargon, you simply ask mFiles, what is the SLA penalty for delayed response? And so we've gone and asked that question now, and we've selected ESTT as the customer because we want that answer in the context of our agreement with ESTT. We've asked that question. We've got our answer back straight away. We've gone and asked what is the delayed response. It's told us what that is. But now we want to know, okay, well, what is the difference between the terms in this agreement and our standard terms of business? And all we need to do is ask that question and ask the AI system to search for that answer across all the contents within mFiles. And there's our answer there. So it's done that comparison and it's found what the financial recompense is in terms of the difference in the SLA penalties between that and our standard terms of business. And so this is what we mean by elevating the knowledge worker experience. We're moving beyond simple document storage to really boosting our productivity with information management. INO is your intelligent assistant, helping you boost productivity, helping you find the answers you need. And all of these obviously are buried within your documents right now that you could be using. And this is all about the time and energy you're saving. No more endless searching, no more cross-referencing with colleagues. INO empowers you to work smarter, not harder. So in the same Forrester study, Forrester found that mFiles improved the searching of information and document creation processes by 50%. That's a significant improvement. But remember, this study was also conducted before we introduced INO, our AI assistant. So now with INO, finding the right information is even faster and more accurate. INO provides you with instant insights stored in your content, making your data even more valuable. It's like having a superpowered search engine for all of your business information. When it comes to workflow automation, imagine this. You've just finished drafting a crucial proposal for a client. Now you need to get it reviewed and approved internally before sending it off. Typically, this would involve a flurry of emails, attachments, and even version control headaches. But what if there was a better way? That's where the workflows and mFiles come in. So think of them as an automated guidance system for your documents, guiding them through the necessary steps, ensuring they reach the right people at the right time. Let's take this simple client document approval workflow as an example on the screen. The author can automatically send the document for review directly within mFiles, no more emails. And we can even control access permissions at each stage, locking the document for editing once it's internally approved. Then, with a click of a button, the document is securely shared with the client through a dedicated client portal. Again, no need for attachments or emails. If the client approves the proposal, we can then automatically convert it to a PDF and finalize the deal. If they reject it, the document is automatically routed back to the author for revisions, unlocking it for further editing. This seamless process eliminates manual steps, reduces errors, and ensures everyone is on the same page. It's like having a dedicated project manager for every document, ensuring it flows smoothly through the approval process. But the benefits go beyond efficiency. Workflows in mFiles also enhance collaboration, improve transparency, and ensure compliance. Everyone involved have access to the latest version and can track the document's progress in real time. And referencing back to that Forrester study again, that same study found that mFiles improved workflow efficiency by a remarkable 70%. That means less time wasted on administrative tasks and even more time focused on building strong client relationships and delivering exceptional results. But it's not just about efficiency. mFiles is also enhancing transparency and accountability. Everyone involved in the process has access to the latest version of the document and can track its progress in real time. This eliminates confusion, reduces errors, and ensures everyone is working towards the same goal. And with that said, I'll hand you back to Matt.
Thanks very much for doing that, Kevin. So as we start to wind up today's webinar, hopefully we've been able to show you how it is possible to reclaim a lot of your team's time back using M-Files. Working together with the experts from Innovative Content Management and M-Files, your team can reclaim much of that lost time. So to recap, we are able to help you by, first of all, speeding up document searching, automating the filing of information, eliminating version control problems, making it easier to find information within complex documents, and reducing manual work by automating your business processes. By addressing these challenges, we can help your staff to focus on value-creating tasks, minimize the opportunity cost of not being able to find the right information, and to deliver a measurable productivity benefit. So that concludes our presentation this morning, and I would be happy to open up the floor for questions in the Q&A, or if you'd like to put your hand up, I can enable your camera and microphone if you like. We're happy to make a time to speak with any of you here today or anyone watching the recording to talk about your circumstances in your workplace, any pain points that you might have, and how we might be able to help. So with that, I'll open up the floor to any questions. Okay, I've got a question here from Hamish, so I'll just I'll enable your microphone here, Hamish. Okay, Hamish, you just need to unmute at your end and you're right to go.
Thanks, guys. I guess I'm just interested in, so some of these concepts that you're talking about using SharePoint in the cloud and being able to search, I guess, at the top rather than digging into folders, which is, as you say, call it the old way of doing things. So what are some of the limitations or weaknesses that using Microsoft and that natural search function that is already built into there versus these M-Files and I guess, you know, what you're suggesting we use at the moment?
Sure. I might start off answering your question, Hamish, then I'll throw to Kevin to elaborate. The strength of M-Files over any Microsoft search function is that M-Files is capable of searching the metadata that is attached to any document that is stored in M-Files, and it can also search the full text of any document. So that's a real strength of M-Files, and it is a limitation of the Microsoft products with respect to their searching capabilities. So what that means is that M-Files is able to bring back relevant information a lot quicker than any of the search functions built into Microsoft. So Kevin, did you want to add anything there? Just on mute there, Kevin.
Yep. I think the key benefit of M-Files compared to, I guess, any kind of traditional folder-based system, and that doesn't have to be something that's in Microsoft, could be any other system that's out there, is that with folders come limitations. So especially when it comes to search, because when you store something in a folder, you're not really adding metadata. You might do it after the fact, but it's really just a byproduct of storing it in the folder. Whereas in M-Files, when you save it, you're getting that metadata put in the system automatically. But that also allows us to do things like, for example, I've gone and done my search. I've gone and found what I'm looking for. But now, just say, for example, found the email that we're looking for. But now we actually want to see the contract that the customer's talking to that's related to the email. With the click of one button in M-Files, we can actually get that 360-degree view because all of that information is actually connected with metadata. So if I wanted to see the contract, I can see that there in the context of that email. If I wanted to see other email conversations, I can see that as well. And then the other thing as well is we can connect M-Files to your kind of systems of record. So, you know, we'll call them kind of master data systems. So if you had like a practice management system or an accounting system or an ERP system, we can actually plug into that. And what that allows us to do is we can actually see those database records from those other systems in the context of your documents as well. So that makes it really, really powerful.
Thanks for that, Kevin. I hope that answered your question there, Hamish. Yep, thanks very much, Hamish. Appreciate you coming along today. I can see Jeff's typing a question there at the moment. Would anyone else like to ask a question with their microphone? Okay, Jeff's asking, what is the
Matt?
average time to set up, given, say, a normal business and approximate costs? Jeff, it really depends on the situation of the organisation and the pain points that we are addressing. For a really basic document management system pre-configured using M-files, we can deploy that in as quickly as 2 weeks. For a customised solution that needs to be fully planned in consultation with your team, that usually goes out to around the 8-week mark. And costs are entirely dependent on the features that you're looking for in the product. So it depends on whether you're doing things like control documents, whether you're looking for the AI features in M-files. The licensing base is based around a per user count. So it's something that we have to cost up on an individual basis. So yeah, we're happy to have those discussions offline if you'd like to know more.
I think the other benefit as well, Matt, is that with M-files, we can actually connect M-files to other systems where your data is already stored. And so that cuts down a lot of the kind of implementation time. And a lot of our customers use that to their advantage, because when you think about implementing a traditional document management system, you actually have to migrate all of your content from day one into that system in order to be able to take advantage of it. One of the benefits of M-files is that we don't actually have to do that. So what that means is we can actually connect M-files to SharePoint. We can connect it to your network drives. We can actually add the metadata automatically over the top, which means you don't actually have to migrate your existing legacy data into M-files in order to be able to start taking advantage of the features of M-files from day one. And it really speeds up that implementation process, because data migration is very painful. I see this a lot with customers, and the main reason why it's painful is, number one, it's not really very well managed, and because it's not well managed, they go in there and it's just completely overwhelming. There's just so much stuff. There's a lot of like multiple versions of copies of documents, different versions of documents. It's just kind of scattered everywhere, and so not having to do that migration and just being able to get a sense of what's in there without having to migrate it, that's really a big significant kind of time saving there.
Thanks, Kevin. Just conscious of time here, we could probably do one more question if there is one from the floor before we wrap up. So if anyone would like to type a question into the chat or maybe put your hand up, I can unmute your microphone. I can see Jessica's just typing something, so we'll just hang tight for a minute. Just wanted to confirm it will analyze existing data. Did you want to take that, Kevin?
Yep. So with existing data, we can't put it through the AI system that extracts all that information you saw before, but we do have a machine learning system inside M-files that can analyze existing data automatically. So it can look at the document, classify it, and match, for example, the customer or the project, those types of things.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Kevin. All right, just conscious of everyone's time, and we will wrap up there. Thank you, everyone, for your interest this morning and for taking time out of your morning to come along. And like I said, please get in touch with us if you'd like to have a conversation about how we can help your organisation with any pain points you have in the information management space. Thank you again, and take care.
Thanks, everyone.